You're going to have to kill him.
I see you have been merciful.
Daeron Targaryen. She's a claimant to the throne.
My purpose is to restore the rightful line to the Iron Throne.
I dispute that I must become what I am not.
The throne remembers its true blood, and I am coming home for it.
A queen just won a war, and it's already destroying her. Rhaenyra Targaryen finally sits the Iron Throne, but within hours she's out of money, out of allies, and out of patience. Her own uncle-husband wants to burn a boy alive. Her enemies have already slipped a fake prince right past her nose. And somewhere out there, her own daughter is riding the one dragon that could end everything. This is the episode where being right stops being enough. Because holding the crown, it turns out, is a lot harder than taking it. The war is supposedly over, but nobody told the bodies still cooling in the fields. Daemon Targaryen rides out, flanked by 3 full-grown dragons to meet Ormund Hightower, the man who led the Reach's army all the way from Old Town. With Otto Hightower dead and King's Landing already fallen, Ormund doesn't have a choice. He drops to one knee and swears himself to Queen Rhaenyra. Simple as that. Except Daemon isn't done. Just as Ormund turns to leave, Daemon casually mentions he'll be taking someone else home with him. Daeron Targaryen, Ormund's young ward and dragon rider, who also happens to be a Targaryen prince with a real claim to the throne. Ormund has no leverage left. He hands the boy over. A shy, blonde teenager steps forward and joins Daemon's side. On the surface, it looks like a clean win. But nothing about this war has ever been clean, and this surrender is about to blow up in Rhaenyra's face in a way nobody sees coming. Back in the Red Keep, Rhaenyra stands in her father's old chambers and says the air is thick with ghosts. She's not being poetic. This was Viserys' room, the room where she watched him rot away for years. Daemon, meanwhile, isn't interested in grief. He wants Ormund and every soldier who followed him incinerated. Rhaenyra refuses. She wants to rule the way her father ruled, with mercy, not fire. It's a nice idea. It lasts about one scene. Her first order of business as queen is to question the boy Daemon brought back. He barely speaks. He's terrified. She gets nothing useful out of him and locks him in his room, and Daemon reminds her, without blinking, that the only way to guarantee her throne is to have this child killed. Rhaenyra doesn't answer. She just moves on to problem number 2, and this one is worse. The treasury is empty. Gone. Grand Maester Orwyle tells her the former master of coin, Tyland Lannister, moved the crown's gold out of the city before anyone could stop him, and nobody knows where it went, or if Tyland's even alive to ask. This matters because Rhaenyra wants a massive, public coronation to prove to the realm that she's the true and legitimate ruler. Instead, she has no money and a city full of starving people. Mysaria, now officially the mistress of whisperers, points out the obvious. A lavish coronation while people are hungry is the fastest way to turn her own city against her. Rhaenyra sends ravens out demanding tribute from the great houses instead. And still, nobody knows where Aemond is. Nobody knows where his dragon Vhagar is. Nobody knows where Rhaena's dragon Sheepstealer is either, and Rhaenyra offers a bounty on Aemond's head that she genuinely cannot afford to pay. Then comes the moment that should have been a formality and instead turns into a warning shot. Rhaenyra walks into the throne room to be anointed by the High Septon, the religious ritual that grants a monarch the blessing of the gods themselves, separate from the crown itself, and he refuses her. Flat out. His reasoning is simple and devastating. Nobody has actually seen Aegon II's body. As far as the faith is concerned, there cannot be 2 anointed monarchs at once, and until Aegon is confirmed dead, Rhaenyra doesn't get her blessing. She tries to argue that the gods clearly favor her, that a dragon appeared to her in her darkest hour as proof. The High Septon is disgusted by the comparison. To the faith, dragons aren't holy. They're dark, unnatural magic, and Rhaenyra just insulted the one man who could have given her legitimacy in the eyes of every small folk in the realm. He warns her that defying the faith is dangerous. She doesn't listen. And that single decision, denied before she even sits down for her first meal as queen, is going to cost her far more than she realizes. Because what Rhaenyra doesn't know yet, what nobody in that room knows yet, is that the boy locked upstairs isn't who they think he is. And the real Daeron Targaryen is still out there, exactly where his enemies want him to be. Alicent asks to see her son one final time before he's sent north, and that request is what breaks the whole plan wide open. The moment she stands in front of the boy, she can't hold her composure. Rhaenyra watches her face and immediately understands what she's looking at. This isn't Daeron. It never was. The real Daeron is a merchant's son, bleached blonde and dressed up to fool a queen who has never once laid eyes on her own half-brother. Ormund Hightower threatened the boy directly. Play the part, or your mother dies. So he played the part, said almost nothing during questioning, and very nearly got away with it. Rhaenyra was so focused on the political weight of holding a Targaryen hostage that she never stopped to confirm the hostage was even real. And the moment the truth lands, so does the next disaster. A dragon keeper arrives at the gate with news that changes everything. Ormond's army never actually went home. Instead, they've seized the town of Tumbleton, taken its people hostage, and they're holding the real Daeron's dragon, Targaryen, inside the walls with them. Every soldier Rhaenyra let walk free just turned around and took a town hostage using her own mercy as cover. Daemon wanted them all burned days ago. He was right, and everyone in that throne room knows it now. While that trap springs shut, Rhaenyra is unraveling somewhere else too, and she doesn't fully notice it happening. She's exhausted. She's grieving her son Jace, and she keeps seeing his ghost walking the halls of the Red Keep when she turns a corner. She orders the entire castle staff investigated for Hightower loyalty. She orders Luther Largent to bring her surviving son Joffrey back from the Vale to secure her line of succession. And in the middle of all this, she keeps circling back to the one person left in the Red Keep who actually understands power. Alicent Hightower, her childhood best friend turned prisoner turned reluctant advisor. Rhaenyra corners her about the missing gold. Alicent swears she knows nothing, insisting the Hightower men never trusted her enough to include her in that decision either. Then Alicent offers something else instead, a way out of the Aegon problem entirely. Just declare him dead. Nobody but a handful of people even know what Aegon looks like anymore after what happened to him at Rook's Rest, and if anyone claiming to be him ever turns up again, Rhaenyra can simply call him an imposter. It's clever. It's also exactly the kind of advice that benefits Alicent's own son more than it benefits Rhaenyra, and that tension between the two women, genuine warmth twisted around old betrayal, is the real engine of this entire episode. Then there's Corlys Velaryon, the sea snake himself, a man who has lost his wife, his children, his ships, and nearly his entire house fighting for Rhaenyra's claim. At dinner, in front of half her court, he asks her to formally legitimize his two sons, Aelin and Adam, the boys born outside of marriage who have fought and bled for her the entire war. Adam, notably, now rides a dragon. This should be an easy yes. Instead, Rhaenyra says nothing. She can't legitimize baseborn sons without inviting every lord in the realm to ask harder questions about the legitimacy of her own children, and she knows it. Corlys has given up everything for this family and just watched his queen hesitate to give him the one thing he actually asked for. That kind of silence has a cost, and it rarely stays quiet for long. By nightfall, Rhaenyra decides to make a statement of her own. She seizes the hoarded grain and stores from the noble houses feasting in her city and redistributes it to the starving small folk, then serves those same nobles a dinner of roasted rats pulled straight from the walls of the Red Keep, a pointed, humiliating reminder of exactly who's really in charge now. Daemon warns her flatly that she's just made herself a long list of new enemies among the very lords she needs to keep the realm stable. She doesn't care. She wanted them to feel what her people have been feeling. But somewhere outside the walls of that banquet hall, in a captured market town called Tumbleton, an army she just spared is holding hostages, holding a dragon, and holding every card in this game that Rhaenyra doesn't even know she's still playing. So the real question isn't whether Rhaenyra can rule with mercy. It's whether mercy is the one thing this war was never going to let her afford. Here's why the ending actually terrifies people who know where this story goes. Ormund Hightower didn't just outsmart Daemon with a fake prince, he weaponized Rhaenyra's own mercy against her. She let his army walk free instead of burning them, and that same army immediately used its freedom to seize Tumbleton and take innocent people hostage, with Daeron's dragon Targaryen trapped inside the walls. That means Rhaenyra is staring down an impossible choice heading into the next episode. Send dragons to retake the town and risk slaughtering the same small folk she just fed with stolen grain, or do nothing and let Ormond's army sit there indefinitely, daring her to make the first move. Daemon told her to burn them all when she had the chance. Now that chance is gone, and the cost of her principles just walked straight through the front gate. This is also where the show is quietly setting up something book readers already know is coming. Tumbleton isn't just a random town. It's about to become one of the bloodiest turning points in the entire Dance of the Dragons, and the dragon sitting inside those walls right now is part of the reason why. Keeping Tessarion trapped in a captured town means whoever controls that town controls a dragon rider's leverage, and leverage is the one thing Rhaenyra has been losing all episode. Now let's talk about the pieces. This episode connects straight back to the original Game of Thrones. The fight over Rhaenyra's anointment isn't just a religious inconvenience, it's the exact same tension that shapes how monarchs are legitimized for the next 2 centuries. The faith of the Seven's discomfort with dragons and with Targaryen power never actually goes away. It resurfaces generations later, and the entire idea that a monarch needs the gods' blessing, not just a crown, on their head is the same logic that later lets religious power in King's Landing challenge royal authority head-on. Then there's the Iron Throne itself. Rhaenyra sitting that seat as a woman, cutting through the same succession law that once passed her over for Viserys, is the direct root of a precedent that keeps mattering long after she's gone. All the way down to the moment a woman inherits Dragonstone generations later and someone brings up whether the realm accepts a queen at all. And Daeron being sent to take the Black at the Wall connects to one of the show's oldest institutions. Exiling inconvenient royal blood to the Night's Watch is a tactic Westeros leans on again and again, because it's the one sentence that removes a threat without making a martyr out of them. There's also Sheepstealer, the wild dragon still unclaimed and lurking out there with Rhaena as its likely rider. A dragon nobody has tamed yet, hiding in the wilds until exactly the right, most dangerous moment to reveal itself is a pattern this universe repeats constantly, and it's usually the dragon nobody was watching that ends up deciding a battle. Keep an eye on that one. And finally, there's the quieter, sadder connection running underneath all of it. 2 women, Rhaenyra and Alicent, who grew up as each other's closest friend, now trading advice across a war they both helped start. That dynamic, power reshaping love into something closer to obligation, is the emotional blueprint this franchise returns to again and again, whether it's 2 queens, 2 sisters, or 2 friends who should have ended up on the same side and didn't. So where does this actually leave Rhaenyra heading into next week? She's on the throne, she's out of money, she's been publicly denied by the faith, she's just been humiliated by a fake hostage swap, and now she's got an occupied town holding both civilians and a dragon hostage right on her doorstep. Every choice she makes from here either proves she can rule with mercy the way her father wanted, or proves Daemon right that mercy was never survivable in the first place. Ormond is already outmaneuvering her from inside a war he officially lost. So here's the question worth sitting with until next week. When Rhaenyra finally has to choose between her people and her principles, which one is she actually going to burn? That's everything confirmed from this episode. What do you think happens at Tumbleton next? Drop your theory below, and I'll see you for the next breakdown.